minus 4 minutes. T minus 3 minutes. T minus 2 minutes. T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Yeah, look, black and blue lines. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, black and blue lines. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, park catalyst. I think we got a hit. Yeah. Hey, black and blue lines. Yeah. Look, we got Prince, Blue and Sgt talking black and blue lives. Yeah. The black and blue lives. Yeah. It's Sgt and Blue.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? What is up? No, it is not Thursday. It is Wednesday. And you know what that means. Well, you're going to now know what that means going forward. It is the Black and Blue Lives podcast. We are back. We are better than ever. First episode back. We rebooted. We rebranded. We are back. It's me. I am your co-host, one half of the dynamic duo, Prince Blue. And this is my homie. Introduce yourself.
Johnathan Steppe, retired CPD sergeant.
Hold on. Why do you make it sound like I was asking you for your booking number at the precinct? Like you I'm Johnathan Steppe. Police chief PT. Come on, man.
P4280.
4437. How you doing?
Yeah, man.
But
glad to
no.
be back.
But no, it is the Black and Blue Lives podcast. And for those who don't know, me and Step, we go a long way back. Like he said, he is a retired police sergeant for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. I am a retired police officer for the same Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. And just to give you a brief backdrop how it started, when I was doing Real Time Prince Blue, my other podcast, I had Step on. He had just medically retired from the force, and I had him on for a special behind the badge episode, and that episode went crazy. Everybody loved it. We was raw with it. We was talking about mental health issues. We was talking about departmental issues. We was talking about all the stuff that plagues police officers and leaks into the community. And we got a lot of good feedback for that. So Step, the adrenaline going, he was like, hey, when we gonna do it again? When we gonna do it again? And then I was like, well, why don't we just do it? Why don't we just keep doing it? So we kept doing the Black and Blue Lives podcast, and then what happened? The pandemic happened, life was lifing, and we stopped doing it. And it wasn't one of those things where it was a problem or anything like that, but it's just life started happening, mental stuff started happening, and we drifted apart, and we didn't do the show. But after those who don't know, I went to school in the meantime. I graduated with my doctorate in criminal justice, and my dissertation was on police work related stress and mental health disorders. And once again, when I was asking for help and I was getting police officers to help me with my survey, police officers again wanted to come on my platform, and they wanted to talk about it. So immediately I text Step and I said, Step, we got to come back, man, with everything that's going on, the officer involved shootings, the mass shootings, everything that's going on, police officers, the 4 officers that took their lives in Texas. Like we have to come back. We have to fire up the platform and give people a voice, give our people a voice again. And here we are, and we're back, and we're doing it more, not for ourselves, but for everybody else, because we just noticed that people needed a platform.
Absolutely. So you pointed out one of the 2 big things that's happened since last time we met, that probably the 2 biggest events in your life other than getting married and having kids was, 1, your doctorate degree, Dr. Prince Blue, and number 2, the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
That is correct. So I wasn't going to bring that up, but
Yeah. So finally, we're being a diehard fan like you for all those years paid off. So, but those are probably the 2 biggest events that's happened in your life since we've done this last time.
So let me ask you this, Step. So while we have been apart, like, tell the people, like, what have you been up to? What's been going on in Step's world?
Doing a lot of traveling, man. Trying to follow in your footsteps. Just traveling, enjoying life, trying to detox from 22 years of toxicity and trauma. So doing that and doing a little bit of executive protection stuff with my new company I started. And
talk about the company. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So I've got a website. I don't know what it is yet because I don't have it memorized. It's Tactical Ops protectiongroup.com. No, I see what it was, but yeah, so there's a little barcode. So actually doing some executive protection stuff on the side, keeping me a little busy. Went to Western North Carolina, I've been doing some stuff locally. I've got Ben Carson. He's coming into town the 15th, doing his protection detail.
The Dr. Ben Carson.
Yep, another doctor. Yep. So he's actually. I'm really excited because I've been following him and his stuff for a while, and he seems like a really good dude. I'm excited to finally get to meet him. Went to Western North Carolina for a few weeks to do some work up there, which was amazing to see the devastation. And my hometown was destroyed, so kind of got to give back to the community a little bit. And it's been busy, man. I think just enjoying life and having fun, man. So,
and for those who don't know, when Steppe says 22 years, I want y'all to know that was 22 years on third shift in some of the worst parts in Charlotte, North Carolina, where this man has done a lot. He was my sergeant for a brief period, and then I had moved on to another division. But I want to tell y'all, when it comes to Johnathan Steppe, there's nothing you can tell me about this guy. He's a good dude. He was a hell of a police officer, and he always put his people first, and that's very important. And that's a very important aspect of policing, especially when supervisors continue to go up and in advance in the ranks. They start forgetting where they came from. But Steppe wasn't one of those. Matter of fact, you would think that that's probably why he didn't move up further, was because he took care of his people and he looked out for a lot of people. And sometimes people don't like that, because the higher you go up, the more you have to kind of step on people to get to where you are. It depends on what kind of a supervisor you are. But he was an excellent supervisor. He's an excellent co-host, and y'all are going to see that going forward. But I want to say this. I mean, we're going to spend a lot of time catching up going forward in the podcast with the upcoming episodes. But I want to really get into it with we have a special guest tonight. He is Nick James, but he's going to tell you that his name is not Nick James, and I'm going to have him explain why. Let me give you a little bit of a let me give you a bio on Nick James. Nick James is a seasoned law enforcement professional and Marine Corps veteran, Semper Fi, with a distinguished career spanning investigations, crisis negotiations, and first responder support. With over a decade in policing experience, he has served as a sexual assault investigator, crisis negotiator, and field training officer. Beyond law enforcement, Nick has managed wellness programs for first responders, worked in investigative technology sales, and started and ran a successful small business. Jesus. Started a successful small building.
a shed out back.
And he holds a BS in criminal justice management. In addition to his law enforcement background, Nick served as a cemetery director intern for the National Cemetery Administration. That's very important, overseeing the operation and maintenance of national cemeteries. Currently, Nick serves as a sexual assault response coordinator for the Department of Defense. And Nick remains dedicated to his public service, community safety, continually striving to support and advocate for those in need. Black and Blue Lives, I want y'all to welcome Nick James into the family. Hello, Nick.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, brother?
Good. You guys hear me okay? I'm on my computer, so.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're good to go.
All right.
So, Nick James, I noticed your name is Nick Edwards. You want to explain how that came to be?
Yeah, so I guess back when I started working sexual assault cases, I became more intimately familiar with suspects than kind of when you're on the streets, you're just kind of like a uniformed cop. And I felt like a lot of the time they forget about you pretty soon thereafter. And I was just having more intimate connections with sexual assault suspects and, major crime suspects, and sitting down with them for hours and interviewing. And so I had my name on Facebook as just Nick Edwards. And I thought, I went to a class and they talked about like operational security and kind of protecting you and your family. And so I took that advice to heart and I changed my name to Nick James. James is my middle name. So didn't completely change my name, but, whether it's effective or not, if somebody wants to find you nowadays, they're going to find you. But that was one of my countermeasures to kind of protect my identity and make myself a little bit harder to find on the internet when I was actually working as a cop. And I just haven't changed it back. It's probably time.
And you know what, Nick, and I'm gonna ask Jay this too. We've all been there. Jay, you could speak on this more than anybody. You had during your career, and now you had a big TikTok following, and that's what some of the things that landed you in hot water. But you actually used your real name. You want to talk about that and the type of measures we have to go through to kind of protect our identities? But you went the opposite of that, and you leaned into it. Jay, you hear me? Uh-oh. Jay, you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, you heard what I asked?
I just heard, you broke up for a minute, then I heard, did you hear me?
Oh, okay. No, I was saying how you had and still have a big TikTok following. You had a large social media following, and you did the opposite. Most people would try to like hide their identity as a police officer, but you leaned into it and got to some hot water. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so there were numerous officers at the department who had a social media following, like a officer page. So I decided, it was during the riots of 2020, May, June, to humanize the badge. So I created some content, and I ran it through my chain of command, my lieutenant, my captains. I checked with internal affairs, also checked with the public information lieutenant. So followed policy, released some videos, and ended up getting 30 days off for the content.
No, you were suspended.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was suspended for 30 days. So put on leave. It was, I guess, a sign of the times where, they were like, well, someone could be offended, and my videos were lighthearted, nothing against policy. But anyway, long story short, yeah, I put it out there, and they ended up, somebody from the mayor's office apparently didn't like it and made a anonymous complaint, and I ended up getting suspended. So I was getting ready to get promoted to lieutenant, that kicked me off the lieutenant's list, and here we are. So, and then, at the same time, I was going through a lot of issues with PTSD. So that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, where, I was trying to humanize the badge, and, I was getting a lot of positive feedback from what I was doing, and then really nothing negative. And it's one of the things where, what I realized, not only our department, these other departments, is it really doesn't matter what you do. It used to be as long as you follow the law and the policy, you're good. But now it's all about perception, and they'll take something that's not against policy and make it against policy. And me and Prince were talking earlier about the FOP president getting suspended for making an official FOP statement last year when we had the 4 officers killed here in Mecklenburg County. And so it which was totally fine for what he did. He didn't violate policy, but they went after him because they didn't like him because he criticized the department.
And the funny thing, because Nick, we met through social media. You was one of my participants for my survey, and you reached out and you was like, hey man, like if you're doing anything else in reference mental health or anything, hey, let me know. I would love to come on and talk about it. And what's the funny thing about it? It in a time where officers really do want to talk about mental health, I'm still, when I was going through my research for my dissertation, I was still getting pushback from departments, like department leaders. They wanted nothing to do with my survey, but the officers themselves wanted everything to do with the survey. So Nick, what are you hearing on the ground with maybe your former department or other officers in other places? How is mental health being regarded right now within departments?
I can speak for my former agency, and then after leaving Southern California, I moved up to Idaho, and that's where I got involved in peer support with a volunteer organization, and I was working for a nonprofit. So I can speak to Idaho and kind of Southern California, but my agency that I came from has made like leaps and bounds with mental health, officer wellness, and kind of like proactive care rather than waiting till the wheels fall off. Because my agency definitely was a little bit more reactive. The wheels will fall off and officer asks for help, and then, you usually don't ever see him again. And that's basically, my story. You say, hey, I need help. What was that?
No, exactly. Same thing, that happened to me when I asked for help,
Yeah. And it's unfortunate. It doesn't necessarily need to be that way in all cases. And so now, ever since I left, they've really loosened up. I'm not going to say loosened up, but the stigma seems to be lowering, where officers are now able to ask for help, get some time off, get back in the fight, and continue doing their jobs, which I think is a great culture shift, because officers aren't as reluctant to ask for help if they know, hey, it's going to be okay, and I'm not going to lose my badge and my gun. They'll let me work through this and get back in the game, if you will. So there's definitely been a big shift there at my agency. They have so I worked in sexual assault investigations, and that's really what was the fork in my career, dealing with that kind of stuff. And I started I was feeling things, but I didn't know why or what to do about it. I'm on Google trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with me. But now they have, where you can check in with like a staff, I don't know if it's a psychologist, some type of therapist every couple months. And so it's okay now. Like, the therapist comes in and everybody goes and sees him or her, or something like that, from what I understand. And I could be speaking out of turn. I just, know from the folks I still talk to there that it's gotten a lot better than it was during my time. And then in Idaho too, I was living in like the Boise area, Boise, Idaho. And a lot of the agencies there, it's become, they're seeking out services for officers, like, critical incident stress debriefing, peer support stuff for their officers. They're actually, a lot of the leadership is actively seeking out those types of resources and services for their officers. And there's, a volunteer nonprofit there that I was working for. It's called Courageous Survival, and it's run by a retired sheriff's deputy's wife, and she's got resource guides. And, so if you or your wife or you are struggling, you can go to that resource guide and find, hey, where can I get help? So I think it's becoming more, for lack of a better term, sexy, in the police culture to ask for help. And I'm starting to wonder if the municipalities and the, leadership within the police departments are realizing, like, hey, we need to take care of these people or we lose them. And you lose a lot of experience and, a lot of money when you lose your first responders to things that are often we are able to work through with the right support, I guess.
This is my issue that I have with it, Nick and Jay. People don't understand how much. I think people say it like it's a trendy word, like sacrifice. People don't understand the isolation that comes with being a police officer. People don't understand that you spend more time with your brothers and sisters than you do your family, and how sometimes that manifests itself in bad ways, because high divorce rate. Why? Because it's a lot of infidelity in police. There's just a lot of stuff that goes on, because when you're around somebody and you share in trauma that much, you quite naturally are going to be able to relate to them more than the people that are back at home. So when these officers are struggling, when they have nothing, and then they have mental health issues, and then, oh yeah, by the way, when you find out that they have mental health issues, you now are going to take their job or take their badge. That's when you get the high suicide rates. That's when you get cops that's out here reckless and don't give a damn. And I think that departments really need to figure this out. Do I want to help my officers with better co-pays or with better resources that they may be out maybe a month or 2 months, whatever it is that they're out. But when they come back, I have a better and a well-equipped officer to fight? Or would I rather keep that officer with all these mental health issues, with all these problems going on, because it's another body on the street, knowing damn well that that officer is not fit for duty? You test officers for physical fitness every year, but when it comes to mental health, well, you see that hotline on the wall. If you have a problem, dial that hotline. That's it.
Yeah, and then you get somebody that's not culturally competent, that doesn't know
Absolutely.
police culture and can't understand the gravity of what we're dealing with, and so you say, screw it, I'm not talking to that person, they can't help me. And then, you know, we don't generally, as cops, we don't trust people, or
We're very cynical.
right, you know, and so I gave you one shot and you couldn't help me, so I'm out. I'm not trying that again. You
Yeah,
know?
and on the other hand, you know, like a lot of people are worried about losing their career. So, I mean, because, you know, when I came out and told them the issues that I was having, you know, that's, you know, other than my command and my other officers that I'm friends with, the department didn't do anything for me. They said, you know, they took my badge, my gun, took me home, took all my shit, said, we're here for you. And I never heard from them again.
Treated you like you was a fucking leper.
Yeah, dude. I felt like, you know, I was on the battalion death march and just fell out and needed help, and they just kept going. And you know, it was a career ender, and which is sad, and that really discourages people to come forward when they have issues, and because they're worried, they see what happened not only to me, these other officers. And to your point earlier, to both your points, you know, it was like 168 active officers committed suicide last year.
Yeah.
And I think 138 were killed feloniously in the line of duty. So we're losing more officers to suicide than we are by suspects. And it's great that some departments are coming, you know, getting ahead of the game and saying it's okay to have issues and have problems. But a lot of the stuff we're seeing, you know, with officers getting arrested with DWI or DV issues or whatever, a lot of it stems from PTSD, and they're trying to mask the issues with alcohol and stuff. And this doesn't even count the officers who just had enough that quit because their mental health is at risk and then end up killing themselves. I know a few that's done that after the fact, or just, you know, self-destruct.
Yeah.
And in the department, there's no resources, especially as, you know, me and Blue as retired officers. There's no resources for us to get help. As you know, we serve the community for years and years, and we have to get our own help. And so it's about time that some departments like yours, Nick, that's getting ahead of the game and doing some proactive stuff.
Yeah. And that's true. The same with me is they kind of, you know, I'm medically retired, but once you're medically retired, you're on your own.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was struggling for a while, and I couldn't really hold a job. And, you know, how do you go get medical benefits for the care you need? It's just and those are all things we think of when we're in that, you know, seat, when we're wearing the uniform. Like, I'd rather just sit here and suffer than, you know, roll the dice and see what happens. But you mentioned destructive behaviors. That's what ultimately led me to tapping out. I was an angry dude, and I started to understand why cops were on the 10 o'clock news.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. When you start identifying with people like that, that's when you know you need to start taking a step back. And when your impulse control is low, that's when you know you need to start taking a step back.
Yeah, and I was working investigations, so I wasn't really on the streets and doing all the fun stuff, but I still like road raging on my way home from work, you know. Just and I was like, man, I got to do something. So
absolutely. And a lot of us, like, you know, find new, because I still care about my brothers and sisters in Blue and you know, this podcast that we've done in the past, and I still get one or two, sometimes more calls a week with officers needing help and guidance to, you know, hey, who do I need to talk to? What can I do? And the same thing is even with the CMPD, which is the 13th biggest police department in the nation. They're scared to come forward because they're worried about getting taken off the job, if it's perception of real, you know, what's going to happen. And and some of them are, you can see it in their eyes. They're in bad shape.
Yeah.
That's absolutely yeah, and we're going, and you know what's the funny thing is, we're going to, as we go through this whole episode, we're going to weave in and out of this. But the one thing I want people to know before we go to our first commercial is, if you need help, you reach out. I don't care. It's to me, it's to Step, it's to Nick, anybody, please, please, I beg of you, before you think about doing anything to yourself or to others, reach out. I promise you, sometimes it just takes somebody else to hear you,
Yep.
to bring you back down, and for you to know that you're better off here. You're better off here well, and you're better off here that you didn't hurt yourself or you didn't hurt others. So please, please don't be afraid to reach out. We'll be back after this first message.
I know. You're probably wondering what's going on. Well, I'm here to tell you. It's me, Inked, and I need you guys to head on over to ajsrantroom.com and pick up your Trifecta merch. Yes, that's right. Trifecta merch is here. It is here for our Trifecta family to show their love and support and advertise for free. Well, not technically for free. You did pay for it. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Head on over to ajsrantroom.com and pick up your Trifecta merch. We're all inclusive. It prints.
That's right. That's Trifecta Hour, which will be on. That is on Fridays at 8 p.m. That's me, AJ, and Inked. Make sure y'all check out the merchandise store. Please, please, please check it out.
And the rumor is the first 10 who buy a shirt is going to get a personal autograph from Dr. Prince Blue.
That is correct. I will autograph whatever you want to support the store. Please, I'll autograph anything. But now we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk about the LeShawn Leeth case. If you're saying who, what, it's probably because he's if I could put this in football terms, since the draft is tomorrow, Carmelo Anthony is an offensive lineman, Hall of Fame lineman, and LeShawn Leeth is a running back. The stuff that's going on with Carmelo Anthony is blocking you from knowing anything about this LeShawn Leeth case. That is tragic and is a reason why you see officers that are stuck between a rock and a hard place. So what me, Step, and Nick are going to do, and especially me and Step going forward on future episodes, we're going to get some of your favorite videos. We're going to watch them together, and then we're going to break it down. You're getting it now from 3 police officers. So you know when you be like, why you ain't shoot him in the leg? That's excessive force. Why you ain't do this? Why you ain't do that? You're now about to know what is our thought process and what we would do, and probably what we will continue to do going forward. So here we go. Check it out. This is the body cam footage from the LeShawn Leeth case. For those who don't know, a quick backdrop. It was no, I'm just gonna play it and then I'll let you know what we got.
What's going on, man? What's going on? In the name of Jesus, watch out. In the name of Jesus, watch out. Watch out, get hurt. You're gonna get hurt. In the name of Jesus, stop, bitch. Hey, Lord, bow down. Get hurt. Jesus, Lord, bow down. Don't touch me or you're gonna die. Next time you touch me, you're gonna die. Next time you touch me, you're gonna die. Turn around. Put your hands behind your back. 5 Team Cleveland. Send me another unit. He's on foot, going down the berm. Hey, you gotta go down! You ain't down! That's Jesus, bitch! That's Jesus, bitch! Bitch! That's Jesus! Oh! Get down on the ground! Jesus! 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 Okay, let's see. Good out. All right, let's try to find Jesus. Go ahead. Listen. Get down on the ground now. Lay down. Lay down. I'm strong in you. I'm a Jesus lover. I'm a Jesus lover. I'm a Jesus lover.
Now, everybody, I hope y'all are uncomfortable, because this is what really goes on in the body. This is what really goes on. But what y'all see is y'all see the perpetrator. Y'all see them in a suit, and they pick the best picture to paint them in the best possible light, which they did in this case. Before the body cam footage came out, they presented him as an upstanding citizen, this, that, and the third. The police were completely wrong. He was getting a GoFundMe. He was getting all this money. Then the body cam footage was released. Crickets. You know why it was crickets? Because it was wrong. Let me read you the backdrop of it. A serial criminal turned community leader attacked an Ohio State trooper, stole his car, and led cops on a high-speed highway pursuit before being shot dead. The terrifying incident unfolded after LeShawn Leeth commandeered the vehicle and took off towards Pennsylvania on Friday. These are some of the things he said. Next time you touch me, you're going to die. Next time you touch me, you're going to die. He then charged at the police officer, and two began brawling with a trooper deployed a stun gun, and it did not work. And then that's when he lost control of the situation, and he got in his car, led him on a chase, and then ended up with his life being lost. So I'm going to start with Steppe. Talk me through that video. What is your this is your first video. What are you thinking now?
So I put myself in the officer's shoes. First thing, he's responding to a 1050, which is a wreck, right? So he's responding to a wreck. He's a highway patrol trooper. He gets out of the vehicle. He sees this guy. This guy's in the name of Jesus. So my first instinct would be, hey, this guy's either high or he's mental or both, right? So and then some factors that people don't consider when they watch the video is you're next to a highway. It's very dangerous, and I've been in fights on the side of the highway. It's very dangerous that your threats not just from the suspect, it's from the other vehicles, right? And if you find somebody and get pushed in the road, so the level of force that you're allowed to utilize in those situations are going to be greater based on the totality of the circumstances, which is, it's not only the physical threat from him. If he does something that you're in the middle of a field where he just pushes you, which is going to be assault, where in this case you could die, right? So you push you on the side of the road, or him get killed, right? So I've seen them both happen. So a lot of the troopers, a lot of times they're alone, right? And so the closest backup is probably going to be a city cop or a sheriff's deputy, depending on where they're at in Ohio. But there's a lot of things to consider, and we both know with dealing with people with mental health crises and or on drugs, their strength level a lot of times is
he
3 to 4 times greater.
He ate the taser.
He ate the taser. So it also preaches you cannot rely on the tools on your belt. So you can't rely on the taser, you can't rely on pepper spray, you can't rely on the Aspeton. This trooper, he reminds me of a first shift guy in Charlotte, right? So he's been around, he's not chasing the guy, he calmly gets back in. But what does he do? He hands are up, he punches, he does what he's supposed to do. Sometimes you see the newer guys or some generation, they just pull out and shoot him, which I don't think would be appropriate. But once he gets him on the ground, you're right on the borderline of this guy's attacking the officer, especially he mounts him, being able to articulate the need to use deadly force based on the totality of the circumstances. And then, I've seen that. This is the first time we discussed it together. I've seen the whole video. I'm not sure. I know he chases. I think they pit him. He crashes. He rolls over. I'm not sure what he did to get shot. But the whole time this guy's running, we've all seen it. It's people on drugs, sometimes high on drugs or mental health or both. They're using Jesus' name, right? So Jesus or the devil or Jesus. So I don't know. I just know that. You can't look at it and be like, oh, this guy's just having a mental health breakdown. We don't know if he's high on drugs or both. But even if that's just the case, he's already wrecked a car. He's assaulting the officer. He's making verbal threats of what he's going to do. And he's definitely a threat. And that's an extremely dangerous situation to be in.
Yeah, I agree with everything Jay said, like right on the nose. Just from like a crisis negotiator standpoint, two things that I picked up on: you're not engaging with this guy. You're not de-escalating. You know,
past
we
that.
often hear, well,
No,
they
not
didn't
at all.
de-escalate. They didn't try and calm him down. And in fact, the officer actually did a pretty good job. He disengaged. When he walked away, he said, all right, you know,
Mhm.
I'll wait back here at my vehicle where I'm safe. And the dude turned around and came right back at him. You know, it's great that this is on video, because this is how a overwhelming majority of these type of incidents go down. I can't remember the term for it, but it's like, obviously
I
it's
think
either,
it's like excited delirium or
yes,
something.
there it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You were tracking. Okay. So I don't know if it's that, if it's, you know, a mental health break, drug induced psychosis, but generally when you're dealing with someone like that, I mean, time and distance and wait for the cavalry, but he wasn't afforded that opportunity. And like Jay said, it also showed, it illustrated for, you know, the general public how ineffective a taser can be. You know, that guy had the forward inertia coming at him, the probes hit him, and it right out of him. And now what you're stuck with a drive stun, which is, you know, pushing the taser into his body and trying to, but even that's not effective with somebody with that excited delirium. So yeah, it was hard to watch for sure.
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough, Nick. But you know what? We need this, because when you got people now, here where I come in, when you got people on social media saying, "Oh, racist pig cop, cops don't know how to do this, cops don't know how to fight, cops don't know how to do this, cops don't know how to do that. They was wrong." You know, another unarmed black man down. Then we show you the video, crickets. 2 white officers just told you that man that those officers showed restraint. Incredible. They showed more than I would have showed. But another thing is, how do people expect us to diagnose the person, get control of the person, do all this within a split second? We are trying to, number one, protect ourselves, protect others. This man, do you know what's on a police officer's belt? His duty weapon. So when all this stuff is going on, then a car is taken, and then you could crash into other people. This is what you call a hot ass mess. And what makes it worse is when you got people that just are willing to just openly condemn police officers and be totally wrong, and then not be loud in the apology versus that. That's where I have a problem with. But yes, I want to get back to some of the tactical things. When he was pulling up his pants, Nick, you don't have to be black to know that when you pulling at your pants and you bowing up, that's a fighting stance. That's an aggression. That's signs of aggression. Touch me again and I'll kill you.
Yeah.
He's verbally telling you what he's going to do to you.
I was going to say that. Yep.
So we have all these things that we're trained, all law enforcement officers are trained on pre-assault indicators. One, it's the bladed stance, which is an offensive boxer stance. You clench your jaw, you know, you're mad, right? Your fist is clenched, right? So those, along with all of these other things that he's portraying, are pre-assault indicators. But he's verbalizing what he's going to do too. He's not just, you know, the verbal cues are enough alone to get you to where you need to be to strike first or whatever. But this guy, the officer's trying to you know, not engage for obvious reasons. Sometimes it's better just, hey, wait for your backup, like Nick said, and you let the cavalry get there and try to deal with them. This guy wasn't having it. He was coming at the officer. The officer didn't have a choice but to have to fight, right? So the tools on his belt failed, which is fairly common. He had to go hands on, hard hands. But this guy's verbalizing, I'm going to do this. And he's coming at him. And that's a scary situation given the totality of being inside the room.
And I just want to say this before we get to the next video. We break down the next video. You notice that not one of us have addressed that about the shooting. We address what we see on camera because we don't know the circumstances of the actual unaliving part, the death part. So we can't speak on that, but we can speak of what we saw on body cam footage. And from what Jay said, what Nick said, and I agree, he was borderline there in that video for a deadly force situation. So he's already there. So now you're adding in the stolen cop car, hitting other people, property damage, all that other stuff. Probably that footage will come out later on, and then we'll critique that. But as far as this video right here, I mean, there's nothing else. There's nothing else that needs to be said. These are the things what police officers are dealing with. Oh yeah, and by the way, go home. Your wife is mad at you. You missed your kids' dinner. All this other stuff. You missed their softball game. All this stuff is piling on, and then you got the public telling you that you were dead wrong, even though your life was in danger. We'll be back after this next message.
Yep.
Guess what, bitches?
We're back.
We're back.
Trifecta is back.
This Friday, February 7th, baby.
I know you miss me.
Let's go.
Season 3, and I'm just here to let you know that I am going to be even pettier than I was last season.
All right, this next video, Step got into it a little bit with the last video, is do police officers know how to fight anymore? We're not Batman. Why do we keep depending on our belt? Only Batman's utility belt has been 100% effective, and even when it wasn't effective, he knows like 800 different arts of martial arts to handle himself. So look at this video, and then we're going to critique it.
No, I was trying to get you.
He's a cop, so he's going to take him out too.
I know.
So I'm gonna start with you, Nick. What did you see?
Hesitation. Looked like he was obviously indecisive. Looks like a pretty fit guy. Like he could probably handle himself, but I don't know. I can't relate to that. I watched that and I'm like, what's going on? But if you want my opinion on why, I think it's culture. You know, it's the hesitation has been created by, you know, the Monday morning quarterbacking and kind of stuff you hit on. Like he's probably more than capable of fighting, but he doesn't have the desire or maybe the drive to do it because he fears consequences for, you know, use of force, or I don't know. That's just me speculating. When I see stuff like that, that's exactly where my mind goes. Or I could go a little bit deeper. And a lot of these younger officers that were raised up in the, you know, culture where I got to figure out how to say this without sounding bad, but like, you know, where you can't handle things at school anymore. Everything's bullying and, you know, you tattletale or whatever, you know, that I think we're all over 40 here. Back in our day, it's like you meet at the flagpole, you duke it out and you go on with your day. And usually, you know, you hug the dude and you're bros again the next day. But a lot of these younger guys and gals aren't brought up in that culture. And so maybe it's not instinctual to fight back when somebody lays hands on you, although it should be. We're officers and we are trained to do it. But I don't know. It could be a little bit of that, a little bit of just hesitation based on society, you know, and I don't know. It's hard to see though.
Jay?
Yeah. So, you know, if you put yourself in the shoes of that officer, you know, they're at a town hall meeting, right? So
Peaceful.
So there's gonna be cameras. Yeah, you know, your city council members may be there. So there's a lot of pressure on you to, you know, everyone's looking. So it looks like what they're trying to do is grab them, push them out. They end up tasing them, right? He ended up getting aggressive. But people don't understand. As soon as if someone grabs a hold of me, that's considered an assault, right? So I don't have to wait for someone to punch me to punch them back, right? So if honestly, depending on the circumstance, if someone grabs me, I'm going to punch them in the face, more than likely, right? They're going to get punched in the face. But also remember, these are what's going to hurt us, right? The hands, and they're pushing them out. There's several officers there. The guy who ended up getting tased, they're trying to get out of there, was a big dude, and there's more than enough officers to probably take care of them. But the thing to remember is grab them by the hands. You know, they want to get them out and deal with them. You don't take the chance. You don't know. I don't know what kind of security measures they have. You don't know what is his waistband, what he's capable of. grab the hands. Don't worry about trying to push them out. You're not a bouncer. Grab the hands, control them, take them down to the ground, or do whatever you do. If you have to punch them in the face, right? So I'll tell my guys all the time, look, know what you're allowed to do, and if you have to punch somebody we're allowed to shoot people in certain circumstances, right? So nothing's wrong with when we can articulate it and we're justified to have to punch somebody in the face. Sometimes you have to do that, but I agree with Nick that today's culture is, I see a lot of videos where officers get surprised when they tell someone they're under arrest or do something. They don't do it. They don't know what to do. They go to midbrain because they just don't train. They don't have the old school cop mentality where, okay, look, if I tell somebody they're under arrest and they say, no, I'm grabbing them, I'm going hands on, we're going to, and I'm not, now they just try to talk them to handcuffs. Sir, will you please? And that doesn't work. But what do you think, Prince?
I'm
Dr.
whooping
Blue?
his ass. Listen, I'm tired.
Yeah,
I'm tired because not only are you now going hands on, but now you're in front of all those people and all the cameras. So damn it, if they gonna talk about me, I'd rather them say, damn, that officer wasn't playing versus, man, that officer got jacked up. Man, officers can't even protect themselves. How they gonna protect us? Use that perception the same way you want us to have the perception, a good perception. We want to have it as well. And also, again, we got too much stuff on our belt. We got too much stuff going on that if we get taken down on the ground and stuff like that, everybody's in danger then. We got to stop this whole thing where we're trying to be a therapist when it's not time to be a therapist. Like he's already grabbing you. That's already assault. He already has a handful of your shirt. It's over. Y'all know about defensive tactics and control. You control the shirt. It's over. You could tear him down. You could rip him left, rip him right, rip him straight down to the ground. And that was a big dude. And it's in the town hall. But I get what you were saying, Steph, where there's like, hey, let's take him out. It's like when you're a bouncer. Don't start nothing in the club. Like Patrick Swayze said in Roadhouse. Take it outside. And I guess they was trying to do that. They was in between that and going hands on. But the indecisiveness, I just can't go with that anymore.
Well, let me read a quick quote that I read a couple weeks ago as a Blood Police one or something. It said, "No one's more confident about a job they've never done than non-cops are about police work." And I think that's so true. That there's, every video, if it goes viral for whatever reason, if a cop's involved, everyone knows exactly what to do and what they would have done, how they would have handled it, and they could have de-escalated, and they could have done this. But in reality, until you're in those circumstances and you have your adrenaline flowing and you don't know what you're going to do, how you're going to react. And it's a different, people need to have a little bit more patience when it comes to officer doing and understanding before they comment one way or the other.
Yeah, that's just, man,
what's that quote? Remember, I tried to quote last time and I never could, but don't judge the fighters in the arena.
You're full of quotes. I don't even remember.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's pretty good.
We'll be back after this next message.
It's always lit over at ajsrantroom.com. We got the best bags and accessories, our beloved Black Series. We got fresh lids for you hat lovers, fire jackets and hoodies, and of course we got you covered on the t-shirts. So head on over to ajsrantroom.com and get to shopping. You won't be disappointed.
That's right. Make sure you check out ajsrantroom.com. My brother has all the merchandise for you. It's all handmade by him. He has a little sewing machine, No, I'm just playing. But it's very good. It's high quality stuff. And just stuff. Make sure you check out ajsrantroom.com. Now, I want to get into this. This is one of my favorite clips. It's from one of my favorite movies of all time. It's Lethal Weapon. And it's when Danny Glover finally confronts Murtaugh about, he finally confronts Riggs about his suicidal tendencies and stuff like that. And he has the quote unquote coming to Jesus moment with him. And then we're going to break it down.
Hey, okay, no bullshit.
You want to kill yourself? Oh, for Christ. Shut up! Yes or no? You want to die? Yes or no? I got the job done. What the hell do you want? Didn't answer the question. Oh, what do you want to hear, man? Do you want to hear that sometimes I think about eating a bullet? Huh? Well, I do. I do. I even got a special one for the occasion with a hollow point. Look, make sure it blows the back of my goddamn head out. Do the job right. Every single day I wake up and I think of a reason not to do it. Every single day. And you know why I don't do it? This is going to make you laugh. You know why I don't do it? The job. Doing the job. Now, that's the reason. You want to die. I don't. I'm not afraid of it.
What tackles me with that clip was when he said, you know, what makes me not want to take my own life was the job. And Step, you and I know, brother, we lost 2 recent good ones from our prior department when the job wasn't enough anymore. One took his life off duty, and one got in full uniform, drove to a location, let dispatch know where he was, and took his own life. And that's what really had me start thinking when I was doing my research was, what is it, besides the obvious, what is it about this job and not having it? You hate it sometimes, but not having it also makes you hate life itself. So what is it that's happening to these officers that's making them take their lives, including the 4 in Texas? Nick?
That's a tough one. It's a lot to unpack. I can speak from experience. When he said the only thing stopping me from doing it is the job. And I can relate to that in the sense that I was going through some serious emotional mental health issues, you know, PTSD, depression, anxiety, things I'd never dealt with before in my life. And I was in a dark place, but magically I felt good when I was at work. I had my sense of humor. I had I felt good. I really did. And as soon as I get in that car to go home, my jaw would tighten up and the world would start crushing me, you know, on my way home. It's really hard to explain. And so that place is hurting me is now the thing that's saving me, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense to me.
And so I don't know if I answered your question, but when he said that, it took me back to, you know, 2016, 2017, when I was struggling and, you know, that, and I think just to expand on that, when you lose the job and you're still struggling with those things, or you're at fear of losing your job, maybe that's when, you know, the suicide is completed. It's just you've lost all hope. I at least had the job to go back to get my, you know, my fix and feel good all day. So absolutely. Yeah, that's what
I think that. Yeah, I think that was a powerful clip for, you know, a movie that has a lot of humor in it. And I've had conversations with that very similar with officers before. And in my circumstance, I was putting myself in danger at the front of the stack. And because I was worried, I didn't want my guys to get hurt. So I was putting myself at risk where I'd jump out with 8 dudes by myself, you know, and doing stuff that wasn't safe because I was putting myself at risky situations that I normally wouldn't do. And I think it's because of PTSD. And I was kind of feeling that same way as if it's a self-destruction or just the adrenaline or, you know, give me something to attack. You know, I'm angry. I can't take, you know. So it's sad. And a lot of officers get that way. And when you lose a job, right, when I retired, you know, for me, I felt like this was a calling. It becomes a lot of our identity. So my entire adult life, you know, I went to basic law enforcement when I was 19, graduated when I was 20. I was a cop till I was 40, 42. So my entire adult life, I was a cop and been around the thing. And then in all my social stimulation, you know, when I was off, I didn't want to do anything. All right. I'd play a video game or go to the gym. I didn't want to be around people. Didn't want to go to events, be around family. But when I'm at work, I'm happy making jokes. And you have that camaraderie. You take that away. And one of the hardest things for me and how lonely it was when you take yourself out of that environment is you're out of sight, out of mind. You know, your guys love you and care about you, those friends, but you never hear from them, right? Because how many times we're tired prior to us and we're like, hey, dude, I need to get up with so and so, and you just forget, right? Life gets in the way. So, and I have to keep reminded that's one of the hardest things these officers are dealing with that are coming, retiring or going out or having to quit, is that loss of purpose or camaraderie. And I have to remind them time and time again. They're like, hey, no one cares about me. No one's checking on me. And I'm like, hey, dude, we're out of sight, out of mind. Call me. If you call me 24/7, call Print 24/7. We're here for you. But it's hard to adjust. It takes that. It is a huge adjustment.
Yeah, and I know for me, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but I had major depressive disorder. I had bipolar disorder, and I was juggling all that. But my dopamine was at work. I felt good. Like I would literally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, live. You get a high.
Like
just going to work, right?
I would literally go to I would go to a DV by
alive.
myself, and y'all know that's the ultimate no. I would get anxious and not wait for my backup and just do ridiculous, stupid things. And I had great supervisors or great older officers or mentors who would be like, "What are you doing?" And I couldn't explain it to them. I couldn't, in my mind, I can't tell them, yo, it's like I feel good. Like I went in here, I got the bad guy, I did it all by myself, and then y'all came after me, and I did it. Why y'all mad? But I was feeling good. That dopamine, that rush was helping me, even though it was not safe for me. But you can't explain that to other people because number one, chemically, I got stuff going on in my body that's like jacking me up. So they're not going to understand. All they see is unsafe. You're doing crazy things. We need to sit you down. I actually got in trouble a few times going to DVs by myself. So yes, you hate the job, but you want to put that uniform and you want to go to it because that's where all your friends are. That's where if you say, hey man, yeah, I saw somebody with their eyeballs out the socket, they gonna relate. They're not gonna be like, ew, are you crazy or nothing? They're gonna be like, oh no, I'm a one up you. That camaraderie, that everything that you are is on that uniform when you put it on. And literally when you take it off, it's like, hey, take out the trash, hey, water the grass. You're like, hey, there's no fun in that. There's no dopamine in that. Like, no, I'm not doing it.
And then, well, how does that affect the family? And I'm sure we've all dealt with it. Is if your son or girlfriend, wife, husband, or whoever have issues, you're like, are you fucking kidding me? Oh, yeah, I'm late for your meeting. Doesn't matter.
Mm-mm.
It's not a big deal, right? Because nothing in our mind is really bad, and we got to stay away from it. But what we do so important in life and death, when someone has a problem, how minuscule it seems and how uncaring we could appear to my son. Oh, I made a 70 on the really, dude, really? Well, someone tried to kill me last night. But because not trying to one up them what they do, but we deal with so much bad shit, level 8 to 10 all the time, that all this little shit is so irrelevant that we're I don't want to say not caring, but we don't
call it what it is. Sometimes it is not caring. It's like, ma'am, a light bulb. I literally just chased down a crackhead and fought for my life. Like I don't care about a light bulb. Like leave me alone. But you know what? I know it's been kind of like doom and gloom or whatever the case may be, but that's just the reality of our job, and that's why it was very important for me and Step to bring back Black and Blue Lives, because this feels good. Like even now, I wish y'all could see my arm. I got like goosebumps because I'm talking to people that understands what I was going through. Like you understand that dopamine I get by going to a DV by myself, or we're breaking down videos where officers need to be more aggressive and not get themselves and others injured. Like it feels good. So I'm just like, I'm beyond the moon, like ecstatic about the conversation we having right now. Nick, you want to put a bow on this last video before we get to the next one?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, the use of force at the town hall?
No. This what Danny said to Riggs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I will say he had big balls too for telling him how he was feeling. I think I always say there's strength and vulnerability, man. You gotta air it out. I'm an open book. I'll tell anybody anything. And I do that for a few reasons, but one, to be an example for people. You know, if you're feeling something, pull somebody aside, just let them know. And even if you don't know what you're feeling, like if you're not as articulate as he was, but hey man, something's going on with me. I don't know what's up, but you know, go talk to somebody, because odds are he might be dealing, or they might be dealing with it, or they've dealt with it before. And now you got an ear and somebody to bounce things off of. You don't go it alone. I did that I'd go home to my wife and unload on her, and she didn't know what to do. All it did was scare the shit out of her, you know?
Correct.
And so, you know, utilize your peers. And so what he did there, you know, and hey, if you got to yell it and drop some F-bombs along the way, good, but get it out and get somebody's ear.
At least let me know what I'm dealing with. That's all there is. We got one more video. This is our last video to break down. And this one, I'm just trying to figure out what was this officer doing in this video. So take a look. What happened there?
I'm not sure where they had the dude run and he was chasing him.
First of all, that was me.
He sounded.
That was me. That was my body
you?
cam footage
like,
chasing a burglary suspect.
I sound like a white dude, man. You sound white when you're yelling, when you're all jacked up. Like, who's that?
No, let me give you the backdrop. That was a Mexican restaurant on North Tryon where the same guy, he's been hitting that place so much. Like every time he's hitting that place so much. And we got another burglary call. So I was like, you know what? Headquarters, I'll start heading that way. And I positioned myself out in the front. And then I went to, I saw that the glass was broke or whatever that is. So I came back and then I went to grab something out of my car, and then I went into the car to look at something on the computer to see if there was like a description or something. And then he just literally came out the glass with liquor in his hand, like, and he looked at me, and then he just darted. And then I went and chasing after him, and then for some reason it's a big dip in the grass, and I was running. And then it was like Looney Tunes. Remember when Wile E. Coyote was running across the hill? And then he realized he ran out of mountain. And then he's like spinning in the air. And then I just fell down and I exploded all over the place. Got up, kept running, ended up boxing them in the backyard. We got K9 out, was able to arrest him. And this is a true story. The owner was so happy with me that I was able to get that guy that he was like, anytime you come to the restaurant, free queso for life. So I get free queso for life for busting my ass chasing a burglary suspect. Congratulations. You're welcome.
Good for you. Yeah, no, it looked good. Like he fell and got up. I was expecting like something like the guy fall and not get
and I'm laughing at you because I did the same thing one time, but luckily it was before body-worn cameras.
No, that's me in all my glory, baby. But literally I like exploded. Like I still think the crater is there when I hit the ground.
Yeah, I had a yard sale. My flashlight went one way. Everything's flying everywhere. Yeah.
I would expect you. I've been to foot chase with you before. I'd expect, motherfucker.
I'm glad I didn't drop those because that body footage was sound. Because when I did my report, I didn't have to explain why I was doing all this cussing and all that stuff. You heard me, black male, black book bag. Well, thank him for making it easy for me. Black male, black book bag, black jeans, black shirt. He
Right.
he made it easy. I didn't have to say, yeah, he's running. He has on salmon shorts, a Fusion shirt, a parquet book bag, and he made it easy for me. He got caught. He got sentenced. Yeah, and I
Good
get
for you,
free
man. Good
queso for
job.
life.
That's worth it.
Yeah, you gotta be able to
Win-win.
laugh at yourself, man. I like all the concept, like, yeah, man, you know, I chased him down. He ain't had nothing for me. Did it really happen that way? Did it really? Or you just trying to make it sound good? All right.
Absolutely.
Radio dragging behind me. My radio was, because, you know, I had to, that was before I decided to get the actual plastic holder. So I had the one where you snap on, and then it snapped off, and my radio was dangling behind me. It was just a hot mess. And yes, you are going to breathe heavy when you're running, unless you're like an Olympic athlete. When you run, you breathe hard. Comment section. Tell them, y'all.
No, you do, and your voice gets elevated. It's hard not to yell when you're running, right? So because you're yelling at him, then you're yelling radio because you're in the heat of the moment. So you're yelling at him to stop, and your brain's not telling yourself to. You know, you're not. Hey, you better stop. And headquarters. No, you're like you're yelling the radio. You're doing this. So that's, I mean, because because honestly, it's adrenaline dump, right? You're there. You got a burglary suspect. He's running, and you don't know. He could have a weapon. That could easily turn into a deadly force situation, right? So you don't know. So you're elevated. So
and can you just tell people it has nothing to do with a physical condition? It's all about adrenaline. You could be the skinniest person in the world. You're gonna be yelling.
Well,
shut up. You're supposed to be on my side. Like, listen, I wasn't at my heaviest then, but I was a little thick.
You're breathing hard because you're breathing hard majorly, not because of run, because of the adrenaline dump. You get that adrenaline dump, and you see that the people breathing hard, right? So you got somebody at gunpoint, and no one's running, and you come up to that officer, hey, you're good, and you get the guy in custody, and the guy breathing hard, and it's not because he ran or did anything. It's because adrenaline dump makes. Well, the doctor would know
because
why
I was
happens,
fat,
but,
and I just got finished eating late night, and I had no business eating. So there you go.
Eat and drink.
So
but
that's right. That's right. I'm getting better now. I had to lead a department to lose weight. That's crazy talk.
Good.
This has been fun, gentlemen. I want to give a special shout out to our very first guest during the reboot, Nick James, aka Nick Edwards. Nick, tell them where they can see you, where they can not see you, where they can find you, any type of information or anything that you're working on. Please plug away.
I don't really have social media. I mean, I do, but I could give my email address.
Yeah.
Feel free to reach out.
Email away.
Yeah, it's Nick Edwards 7980 @gmail.com.
Perfect.
And I'm on Facebook and at Nick James. Other than that, I have a Twitter, but it's for following recruiting for my son's getting recruited for football, and so I don't
don't even worry about your weirdos. Stay away. Keep it professional. Jay.
Nick
James, bitch.
Yeah, I'm Nick James,
bitch. Well, I just want to say that as you can see, Black and Blue Lives across all social media platforms. So when you see Black and Blue Lives, you're gonna see me and Step's face. So that's how you're gonna know it's our social media account. There it is up there at Black and Blue Lives across all social media platforms. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Also, I'm Real Prince Blue across all platforms. It's easy. Real Prince Blue. Step, tell them about your socials.
Step STEPPE 2223 on Instagram. TikTok is Step STEPPE 4280 on TikTok. So each platform has a little different videos. So just try to follow both if you get a chance.
Little pervert. So that's gonna be our show for today. Please, I'm telling y'all, it's going to only go up from here. We had Nick this week. You know, sometimes we're going to be by ourselves. Sometimes we're going to have guests. But please, 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 if you don't do anything, let's make this a venting session. Let's make this. I want this to feel like a roll call session for all our brothers and sisters in Blue Hour. This is a weekly roll call. So if I don't see you here, that means you were absent from work. Check in. You know, let us know you're okay. Go ahead, Steph.
No, so remember where they make sure if you got some issue you want us to bring up or look into, hit us up on social media to text us or make a comment when you do. I know a lot of people watch this after it's been recorded, but send us a message or get up with us if if it's at a department issue or a command staff or national issue or video you want us to look at and get your opinion. Would love to check it out.
Absolutely. And if you got a video you want us to break down and you want us to analyze it, please send it to any of our socials, any of us, and then we'll break it down for you and we'll get it done. So I will say this, Black and Blue Lives is here to stay. We're going to continue to bring you raw and real analysis of what we feel like is going on with mental health, criminal justice, and law enforcement in general. And our foundation is always going to be this is a podcast that is for police officers by police officers, but we also going to reach out to the community. And if any community leaders want to come on and stuff, this isn't going to be a session where we're just banging on the community or the community's banging on. We want to start dialogue, but we want to have real dialogue. And the one thing that I think is going to make our podcast unique is we're retired. We're not beholden to any department. So whatever we say on here, you can't call a department and be like, I want Step and Nick and Prince fired, blah, blah. They're going to be like, they're no longer with this department. I don't know what you want us to do. And that's going to allow us to give you raw and real analysis and give you our unabashed truth. So with that being said, we will see y'all next Wednesday on the next episode. Please, everybody, be safe out there. Seek help if you need it. Check on your friends and family, and check on your fellow brothers and sisters in blue. And we will catch y'all next week. Peace.
Thanks, gents.
Yeah. Look, Black and Blue Lives. Yeah.